a bunch of objections ready for you. So let's talk about like the first phone call, the qualification call. This would probably be where I asked this question the first time, and then I could revisit it on the appointment. But we've all heard that people don't remember filling out the form. We all heard that people didn't fill out the form. We've all heard that people are definitely not interested. Please take me off your call list. If you haven't heard that, get on the freaking phones and start dialing. You're not working yet. Those three objections are pretty common. So I learned from the best, Trevor. So do you. You're a master plagiarizer
Yep.
in a good way. But I would say, even if I can feel some objections coming, like Trevor, could you just help me understand one thing? I've got a call coming up here in a few minutes. I just want to make sure that I'm serving you right. If I need to close out your file, we definitely can. And this would be coming from someone that I know is about to unload some objections on me. Maybe they told me already that they're just not interested anymore, and then the next objection's coming. I would say, could you just explain the rationale to me? Typically families will return these forms, and you guys try to realize how I'm overgeneralizing how this form ended up in my hands. I'm not saying you filled it out. Okay. So I'll say typically, Trevor, families will return these types of forms because they want to take care of one or two things. Help me understand the rationale behind that for you. Would it be because you want to have the mortgage paid off if, God forbid, you passed away? Or would you want the mortgage payments paid for if you lost your job or became disabled and could not earn income anymore? What would that be for you guys? What's most important?
And I love that, right? And now, for those that know me, know this. Notice what Scott did there. Scott did my favorite two words in sales. He shut up after he asked the question. He stopped talking, right? We're role playing there. He's letting me, right, come out and get the answer to that question. So that's right. Like he's not trying to answer it for him. He's willing to sit there and say, "Hey, that's there. That's so good." So how
Sarah,
do you?
Sarah said it's fire in the chat. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah. So
That's funny. Yeah,
so
and
how do
I
you?
usually slow it down a little bit because
Right.
also like you guys can agree with this probably people start getting really fast and they just want to go go go. They want to get off, right? So I would slow it down. I need to know this. Like I need to know this answer. So I'd say real quick, Trevor, help me understand, typically when families return this type of form, they're looking to accomplish one of two things. It's usually one, they want to, and I'm slowing down and getting really clear. It's almost like I'm pausing them where they're at, and they're like, okay, what is this guy going to say? What are the two things? I want to pause them and slow them down enough. If I'm moving fast and I work my way really quickly through that question, they may also quickly move into, hey, I told you I'm not interested. I gotta go. Bye. Click. So it's the tonality and the speed of it too.
Um, so when like so how do you know when you've gone deep enough like there? Like what are the triggers you're looking for when you feel like, hey, I've gotten deep or I'm getting surface level and I probably need to go a little deeper?
Yeah, and this question works as a lead in to more fire questions, as Sarah would say, after that. Whether it's a good client and things are moving well with them, or it's a client that's showing resistance and a bunch of objections are about to start coming. But really, I want to stay lighthearted enough on that first qualification call that they aren't feeling like I'm setting them up for a sale and I'm just here to close them. But I want to get deep enough that I know why they should show up to that next call, if that makes sense. So I'm pretty nonchalant. Like it's crazy the messaging that's going off in my head while I'm talking to someone versus the words that actually come out. Because in my head, like when I'm tying down an appointment, I'm like, I've only got 3 spots left. This Joker better not miss on me. Like, I need this person to show up. They better not ghost me. Like, I'm tying this thing down as hard as I possibly can. But as it comes out, I say, yeah, Trevor, I'll shop around for you a little bit and then we can get together later this week. How does that sound? Before I go
Awesome.
tie it down,
Yeah.
so whatever's going on in my head, I always try to have a cool, calm composure. So, follow up question to that first one would be like, All right, Sarah, tell me a little bit more about that. Just tell me a little bit more and just dig a little bit deeper. Because again, I want to go like second layer on that first call. We're gonna have time on the appointment if they show to go a lot deeper. So I want to stay lighthearted enough that I'm not like we're not crying on that first call. That's not gonna happen. Okay. We're not crying on that first call. They're gonna trust me because, um, and I'm building trust through not going too deep with them, especially if I don't know what type of setting they're in. We're calling people while they're at work. This isn't the appointment. If it's the appointment, they're at home, they're on Zoom, they're with their spouse. If this is the first qualification call, they could have people around them. And you may not know this, but if you start going super deep on their medical and they've told you, like, hey, I've only got a few minutes to chat, and you go super, super deep on their medical or super deep on their why, they may just click and hang up on you because their coworker's sitting right next to them and they don't want to tell their coworker what type of creams they're using or what kind of medication they're on, right? So yeah, we gotta stay, go deep enough on the first call where they know that you care, but I wouldn't cry with them on the first call. I wouldn't get to the point where they're sharing family story on the first call. I definitely want to talk about family story on the second call for sure. We're going to find out if they have a family and how old their kids are, but we're not going to find out like why it's so important that their spouse would stay in the house because it's a family home that's been passed down from generation to generation. And, they're all three of their family dogs are buried in the backyard. And like, we're going to get there on the appointment. Does that help?
For sure. That's right. Like that's trying to get them. I think something you brought up that's so important there is we decide the situation in our heads. Well, they just don't want to tell me versus, hey, I am at the office and I am sitting next to a coworker and I don't want them to hear that I'm on a high blood medication and a statin and they got me on metformin now, right? I don't want that person that I don't like at my job to hear that, but we've decided, right? Or they're walking in the middle of the grocery store and they got their AirPod in and they're doing their shopping and they just happen to answer,
Yeah.
right? We
When they
decide they
say I
should.
can't talk too much right now, that could really mean I'm at the grocery store checking out, or I'm sitting right next to a coworker, or I'm out to lunch with a friend. So, yeah, just if they start answering your questions and it flows, like go for it for sure. But use context clues. I think hearing sound in the background is a big one for me. If I hear kids like going around like crazy, or I hear them checking out at the grocery store, like I'm just using context clues about how deep I go on that first call. Man, if they're going deep and there's a huge why and the conversation's flowing, that's a one call close opportunity. Of course I'm going to take it. Otherwise, I want to book an appointment when they can like really focus and we can be on Zoom or phone call if that's your type of if you're that's your type of sale, um, with their spouse at home where they have time to think. Otherwise, if it's flowing, let it go. Yeah, let it rip. Do that one call close. It's not going to be every person though.
So let's talk about that. The I need to think in the employment, right? Like the thing we have to come over. The I need to think about it. So for you, what do you think the client's really saying, and how do you respond?
I really think 90% of the time it comes down to price. But I'm not going to respond to that right away. Like if they say I want to think about it, I'm not going to say, well, why don't we just cut this in half and start there? Like I'm not going to display my assumptions to them. I'm going to ask questions, but I want to back it up a little bit because I think we need to know how, like, identify the why enough that we know how badly they do need this so that they can sell it themselves, right? The best salespeople don't talk most of the time. They do a lot of the question asking and most of the listening. So if I'm asking them questions like, what would this look like for your family if you didn't make it home tomorrow? How long have you guys been contemplating putting something in place? What would exactly happen to the home if you did end up passing away unexpectedly? Who would be responsible for the burden of the mortgage and the bills and everything else if you couldn't, you know if your income was lost in the home? Even asking a follow-up question to something that they answered super surface level. So tell me a little bit more about what that would look like. You guys want to have a really good list of power questions to go through, to get to that deeper why. Because then when I go through my role and purpose, it's almost like I'm telling them I'm their knight in shining armor to all the questions that I just asked and all the problems that we brought up. So, if I've done my job and identified a strong why and made a connection to that this product would really absolutely be a blessing for their family if they end up passing away or become disabled, then when I get to the think about it, I say, no worries. That sounds great. How you want to meet in a couple days or maybe end of the week? What does that look like for you, Trevor? We'll role play this.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I got to look at my schedule. I'm kind of, I'm pretty busy these days.
Yeah. Okay. You want to just leave this open and we don't meet again? Because it sounded like this is, something that you guys really wanted to do and really needed.
How long do you think it's going to take
What's that?
when we meet again?
I I mean, an application, if you'd end up choosing something, we can talk about next steps. An application would probably take 10 to 15 minutes if we move through it quickly. Is that what you were wondering about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just understanding the process there.
Yeah, yeah, no, sorry I didn't do a good enough job explaining that. Yeah, we'd go through an application together. We would, just like any other application for this type of stuff, address, date of birth, doctor's information, few health questions. We set up your payment. You get to choose whatever day you want that bill coming out, all that good stuff. Yeah, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes, but um, so I'm going to pause. You said that it was a think about it question. So my goal would be to let you know that I'm okay with you thinking about it
Yep.
because I'm gonna circle back here. So I'm assuming we're getting back to that, but
Yeah. I
okay.
wanted to see, I've had that question a lot from agents recently, and I wanted to see how you would pivot when you get that,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like how they're asking a buying question, but they're still telling you they're thinking about it.
Well, so it would probably be good to back up to my close. You guys want to hear how I start an application?
Yep. Absolutely. That's
Cool.
one of my questions for you.
All right. So Trevor, we got all three options. Which one makes the most sense for you guys to start with today?
Oh, I love that. Let's
A, B,
let's
or
do the
C?
middle one.
B? Okay,
Yep.
perfect. All right. What address do you want, once you get approved, do you want me to send your policy packet out to?
My home.
Okay. And what's that? And I'll go,
One.
that's the
Right.
close.
Okay.
That's the close. So if I've already done that before, if I've already done that, they kind of know that I'm in the application, but there's no hesitation or transition time. It's already opened up. I'm moving straight into it. I think as new agents, especially me, I was like, all right, Trevor, option B sounds great to me too. Let me get the application pulled up. Do you have a few minutes? It's like,
Oh
no.
no, no. That's
Do
like
no, do
yes.
not do that because they're going to tell you, well, my neighbor was supposed to stop by. We were going to have a beer and watch the game. I just don't know when they're stopping by. So let me hop off the phone now, just anticipation for them coming over, right? It's going to be the lamest excuse. But yeah, if they're giving me the I want to think about it, I've done so much work already and hopefully built a connection with them. They can see that I care and I've identified value in or I guess identified the value for them that they would need this. So when they're saying they want to think about it, I really do trust that people need to think about it sometimes. Like I always think the best. When my wife and I are purchasing anything over $200, we have to talk about it, you know? So maybe that family has that rule, and they gotta speak about which option they're gonna go with. So let me get back to those questions because I think this will serve people well as far as like actually making the close happen today versus letting them think about it. So, for you, Trevor, we'll go back into role play. For you, Trevor, do you want to meet back up later this week or like how many days do you need to think about it? I'm cool with that.
Um. Yeah. I mean, we can meet. We can meet later this week after we get a chance to sit down and look at the finances and make sure we can make this work.
Cool. Perfect. I respect that. My wife and I do the same thing, Trevor. So, um, yeah, let's look at like maybe Saturday afternoon, same time. Work for you?
Yeah. Saturdays are good for me.
Cool. I'll just slide the appointment over. And then now that we've got that taken care of, help me understand like when you guys are talking about it over the next couple days, what's the main thing that y'all are going to be talking about just so I can be better prepared for our next conversation?
We got to see if it fits the budget, right? That it's going to make sense financially for us.
Okay. And I don't know if your family's just like mine, Trevor. I mean, we know how much we make every month. We know how much is going out. if it was an extra $500 bill, we'd have to sit down and rack our brains against it. If it was an extra $100, we know if we can do that or not. Would you guys say that you guys are pretty similar?
Yeah, I think we're in the same boat. We just
Okay,
like to talk. We just like to talk about everything.
cool, perfect. Um, I would let them. I
Yeah,
would let them.
me too.
I would. I would let them because my ultimate goal is to get to the point where they say, I don't know, the option that I really want is just too expensive,
Yep.
right? Because if that is the case, I can let them know, hey, my job has a lot of what ifs in it, and I would hate to, let this ride out and leave it open, and then God forbid something happened to you guys. Let's go ahead and do this, which is a power statement. You're gonna kind of take control of the conversation. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's start with option C because it's about $60 less per month for you guys. Still gets you something in place today versus nothing. And then in the future, maybe a couple weeks from now, we can reconvene, talk about how that first bill felt, when that comes out of your account. And if we need to increase, we can increase. So I would, and 90% of the time, I don't hear back from my clients. They don't want to increase. That was the option that they wanted. They just wanted the whole shebang from day one. Okay. 90% of the time, we don't hop back on the call and increase that. They just stick with it. All right. But if they're being nice, like, and Trevor's just like, dude, I honor my wife and I'm going to talk to her about everything that we purchase no matter what. I'm going to honor that too. I'm going to follow up like crazy if they don't show up to that
Yeah,
appointment
that's
on
where I was.
Saturday.
That's
I
where I
am
wanted you
going
to
to
go
call
with
them
it.
every single day. I'm going to send them texts like, hey, Trevor, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Did I do anything to offend you? Do I need to find another agent for you? I'm going to do everything, the guilt trip, the follow up. I'm getting them back on the calendar because I trusted them and we spent time together and they're telling me honestly they just need to think about it. I'm going to take it at face value and say, all right, then we need to get them back on the phone ASAP.
Jovan asked a good question. Do you ever talk about the 30-day look back period?
I've never talked about it.
Me neither. I never bring it up.
What is it? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, like the free 30-day look period.
Yeah, I never have. I don't want to make for a chargeback and I don't want to make for a bad relationship. I think and not saying that that does for you. You probably have a really good way at delivering that. But once we get the policy in place, I want that to be their policy.
Yep.
I worked in the dealership, so you know, people found a lot of ways to get weird on you during the sale. You just got to do it the right way from the first day. If you start telling them like, "Hey, go out, go take it home, just sign the finance paperwork. If you take it home and you hate it, you can drop it back off tomorrow. We'll shred
Oh,
everything. I won't send it over to the bank until tomorrow." Like it doesn't work. You don't want to
well,
do that from day one.
Has anyone ever done that?
Done what? Bring their vehicle back?
Yeah, like that.
Um,
People know not to do that usually.
Yeah, no, it just it not for a great relationship. You usually hear about other things. Hey, I'm dropping it back off, something, this or that happened or whatever. Yeah, it just doesn't create a good relationship from day one. You want them to know that when that first payment comes out, that's what they're rolling with. They've got their life insurance taken care of. They don't need to keep thinking about whether they can cancel it or not the first month.
yeah. And that's one of the things I make sure they know for me is they really understand that their policy isn't effective until they make that payment.
Yeah.
Right. Like I want to roll that through with them. Um, so we've all had, and they've kind of all asked the same question, and these are newer agents. So this is something you and I have experienced once, twice, 5,000 times. Um, the whole like, what if isn't that working? So me, what I do, and I've shared this a bunch. So I take pictures of Major, right, and my dog looking incredibly sad, right, like he's pathetic, begging for food, and my like go-to to get a reaction is, you know, hey Scott, Major and I here are patiently waiting for you to help make sure your family's protected, right? And I just statement it, and so they know. And I've literally had multiple people respond, "Oh my gosh, your dog's so cute." Start texting me about my dog, and when I try to pivot it, whoop, and then they're back in witness protection. Um, so for me, I say follow up is my superpower because I will follow up with you till the day you die. Like I will follow
Done.
up with you
Yeah,
forever,
same.
right?
That's literally that's what's made me the most money is the follow-up.
Same.
Yeah.
So what's your follow up process look like? Because I'm the same. Like I have no qualms about texting to you and tell you or calling you until you block me. Like
Yeah, it's pretty nonchalant at the beginning. Like patient grace or patience and grace is required, especially if you're working digital leads. Like they're on the internet, they're shopping around, like they could be working with other people. So you don't want to be the one that's blowing them up the most. But like the day I'm gonna follow up every single day, usually at the same time, because that's what time they made the appointment for, until I hear some response from them. That's the first call bucket I'm hitting when I get to my desk was the everyone that missed their appointment. So I'm gonna reach out to them. I like text messages too. It's gonna be nonchalant, like, "Hey, Trevor, so sorry I missed you yesterday. Sounds like you're just as busy as I am. When can we get back together? I know this was important to you." That's like super nonchalant. I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming me. I said we're both busy. And then I'm gonna turn up the intensity as time goes. And then that last statement I just gave you guys a few minutes ago, I'm gonna send a text out, and this is actually what gets the most response. "Hey, Trevor. Man, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't do something wrong to offend you guys. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Would you like me to assign you to a new agent? I know this was important for you and your wife." And they respond back and they're like, "No, it's not you. I've been so busy. I'm so sorry I made you feel that way." It gets a lot of response, guys. So that's just my favorite one. I like your dog picture. I do more of like a guilt trip verbally than I do with a picture, but both work. It's a little bit of a guilt trip before I say, this is how I'll close it out if it's been a couple weeks and no response. Like, "Trevor, I've called you and texted you multiple times. I haven't gotten a response back. I definitely don't want to go from being a friend to an enemy. How should we proceed from here?"
Yeah, I love that. That's I I'm gonna add that in because I do it a little differently, right? Like I say, hey Scott, I don't want to be pushy or pesky about talking to you. I want to do right by all my clients, right? I don't want to be too much for someone, but I also don't want to not follow up and like not make sure you're protected. Is this something you're looking to still handle in the near future?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's kind of my go-to there.
That's good. I got a document for you guys that I'm going to post in the chat. It's got a bunch of re-engagement text for cold leads. It's also got Jeremy Minor responses, 3-day no engagement responses. It's got last ditch efforts on there. It's got appointment no show follow-ups. So you guys can use all these texts. You can actually copy and paste them straight into funnels or switchboard activate, and it will fill the person's name in for you. I've already got all the proper.
Oh, you got them bracketed too? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
awesome.
you guys can have that. Yeah. Bless you, Sarah. Sarah and I are becoming friends because of how engaged she is with this call.
Sarah is awesome. So I want to give her a little props on like what she did. So we have a rule now in the agency that you're not allowed to do any motorcycle riding or anything crazy before a conference because Sarah went out and like fractured her leg pretty bad. But she wanted to get there so bad that she rehabbed so much that she got into it and she made conference. So she's really good about showing up. Um, so,
That's
um,
that's commitment.
yeah, those for sure work and activate
Was it a
because
dirt
those are the
bike or
same
a,
ones I
or a street
use.
bike?
It
Yep.
was a dirt bike. I got in a dirt bike accident the day before Memorial Day, had emergency surgery on Memorial Day, and then again on June 3rd. I actually just started walking, partially walking, about 5 days before I left for conference. And so I went to conference. I was in a wheelchair at conference. I rode around some and I also walked some, but I mean, I'm direct to Scott and Kelly Summers. Debbie Woods is my upline, who is direct to Scott and Kelly Summers.
Mm.
And I mean, I know my numbers may not show it right now, but I'm coming back and I'm ready to run, because I'm ready to own this thing. And just like Sarah Reineke says, remember your name, remember who you are, remember your why and why you're doing this. And I make sure I stay involved so I can get all the golden nuggets and so I can help those agents that are coming in under me because I want to own it. I want to have the life that you and Jamie and Trevor and Sarah, I mean, all these people are having because I know if I put my head down at least for a year, I'll see dramatic growth in a year. So I appreciate everything that you've poured into us, Scott. Even this morning on the Bab call, like you guys have no idea how much it means to us, and I feel like you guys don't get enough credit because you're taking time out of your day to pour into us. So
No. Hey, put a two in the chat if you're behind Sarah. If you're for her, put a two in the chat. Yeah, Sarah, incredible story of pushing through the pain, but I think every leader now is behind you if they didn't know that story. I don't know if everyone else knew that story here on this call. I know we're all on Zoom screens and we don't know each other's stories fully, but thanks for sharing. I mean, yeah, it could be a like we're together, but it's hard when there's 100 people on a Zoom screen to know each individual person's struggle and story. But yeah, I'm for sure in your corner, Sarah, hearing that. Absolutely. Yeah. Tom, what's up?
Hey, Scott, how are you doing, buddy?
Good, man.
Hey, got a question for the group here. Who got a lot out of this listening to Scott? Can I get a raise a hand, or we could do the whole, throw one in the chat. Let me ask another question. Who is here because somebody texted you and told you that Trevor was interviewing Scott in the Mac room and you got on here real quick?
Right. Type me in there. Write a me in chat.
Yeah,
So I
write a
know.
me in there, guys.
Yeah.
It was a surprise. Nice
Okay.
surprise.
Here's how it works. You want to hear content like this? Got to be here. It's where you got to work. Trevor last week gave a master class on how to book appointments. I happen to be sitting in here and I listened to him. If you want to learn from the best, you got to show up in the Mac room. This is where it's going to be. And don't rely on other people to remember to text you the next time Scott Schnitzer is walking down the hallway and he pokes his head in and he drops a bunch of gold nuggets on us, especially that document man. Thank you so much. There's a guy on my team who's on this call that was asking me that exact same thing 24 hours ago. Thank
Yeah,
you so
and you
much
guys,
for providing that.
there's smarter people on me or than me on this call. So take that document and then go into your file section, make a copy of it, and then just keep adding to it. And then someday send it back to me when it's a lot better. Okay. Because it's good right now. But yeah, bless me back by adding things to that. If someone can get Sheldon the document, that would be awesome.
Yep. I got it. I'll
Yeah, guys, I'll leave you with this because I do have an interview I got to pop out to. I'm not sure if this was an hour call or not, but
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry.
we're good,
I wish
buddy.
I wish I could hang out longer, man.
It's
I'll
all
leave you
good.
with this. Just if you're in the phase of figuring this thing out right now, get really good at the things that matter. Just commit to getting really good at the things that matter right now, which is staying in business. Okay? Keeping a client on the phone for the first 10 seconds is a learning curve. Booking and tying down an appointment is a learning curve. Getting them to show is a learning curve. And then writing the application is a learning curve. Figure out what it is for you that's holding you back from getting to the final one and focus on that until you are really good at it. Jim always says in our accountability call, it's one door, one key, one lock. You gotta focus in on that one thing and get obsessed with it. Because when you get obsessed and really good with the things that matter, like helping families out here, you make a lot of dang money and you attract a lot of people into your agency that want to make a lot of money. Okay. So get really good at those things. Just get obsessed with it. Get weird, guys. That's what I always say. Like, just get weird with it. It was so funny, Trevor. I'll leave with this story. I hung out with some of the 19 and 20-year-olds on my team a couple weeks ago while I was in Florida because we were about 45 minutes away. You know, Rodion. It was him and
Oh
his
yeah.
and we went out to Top Golf, had a good time, and like those guys are so great. They're just hungry and they ask questions the whole time we're hanging out. I was like, you guys ever just stop and like relax? You know, like they're wired up to just and hungry for growth. But after Rod was like, hey, I would love to show you my spot. I'd love to take you a tour around our apartment. We just moved into this place. So I followed him back and go to drop my stuff down in his apartment. And one of his agents pulls out this jar, right? You would think 1920, they've got other priorities. No, they're obsessed with this business and they want it. They pulled out this jar and it was full of folded up little pieces of paper, and each one of them had an objection on it. And they told me to pull a few out and just start firing off. And I found out that before we went out to Top Golf, they were all sitting around the kitchen table, taking turns pulling out an objection and going over it with each other. They're getting obsessed. They're getting super obsessed with making sure that they can book an appointment, which is going to lead to more sales. So just get really good at the things that matter, guys, and you'll attract good people into your business. Because I know when I started hiring people, they were like, I'm not even sure this guy's making money. I don't know if I can stay here. I don't know if this is a stable home for me, right? It's all good. I learned a lot from that. Okay.
Awesome. Love you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Love you too, man. See you guys.
All right.
Thank you